Oh, what a day in the Big 12. What a crazy day in the Big 12. I saw most of it coming, though not all of it exactly. So let's start with, to take a page out of Colin Cowherd's book, where Spencer was right. And that's Texas Tech, 3-0 in the Big 12. Remember when the Red Raiders went up to Pullman and got blasted by Washington State? Remember when the week prior, Abilene Christian had a 2-point conversion to upset them on their home field? Well, you should forget about those games because that's not what this current version of Texas Tech is. So they had a 15-point lead at the half. Arizona stages a comeback, and Brent Brennan's team comes up just short. Now, Arizona fans didn't really like what I had to say about the Wildcats coming into this season, thought that I was overlooking them and just a hater. I don't know why I hate Arizona, but okay. Here we are, and the Wildcats are 3-2, 1-1 in the Big 12, and there are other losses to a Big 12 team, just not a Big 12 game, and that was a 31-7 blasting against Kansas State. Arizona goes at BYU this week. If you would like to go to the Big 12 championship game, Arizona, you better win that one. However, Texas Tech, Now, who listed Texas Tech as a dark horse team to win the Big 12 this year? That's right. I did. Didn't pick them to the Big 12 championship game, but said, hey, watch out for the Red Raiders. Schedule's not horrifically bad. And I think this is a pretty good team, like the transfer portal, like the quarterback, like the coach. Hey, what do you know? Arizona State, Cincinnati, Arizona have all succumbed to the mighty strength of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Taj Brooks fumbles twice in this game in the second half. Does not matter. He finds a way to get the game-winning touchdown, and boom! Texas Tech 5-1, 3-0. They host Baylor next week. 2 weeks from today, or from this week. October 19th. They're going to be at home off a bye against Baylor. I got news for you. If you didn't know, Baylor stinks. Baylor stinks. You know who doesn't stink? Iowa State. Iowa State. I'm legitimately wondering if Iowa State and Texas Tech are the best teams in the Big 12. You peruse the conference standings, and they're up there with West Virginia. They're up there with Colorado. They're up there with BYU. I have far more questions about those teams than I do with Iowa State and Texas Tech. You know what Tech's problem was? They couldn't play defense. Well, they give up 22 points on the road against Arizona. That dynamic tandem of Noah Fafita and Tetaroa McMillan, showing again you need more than two guys to be a championship caliber football team. I think that's what's going to happen to Colorado eventually. Is you need more than two guys to be a really, good football team to win a conference. Texas Tech is a more complete football team than Arizona. I think they're a more complete football team than Colorado. They play Colorado at home November 9th. I think the Red Raiders are going to win, but that's a long ways away right now. This league is so incredibly wide open, and I thought that coming into the year, that it'd be the most open league, but it's become even more crazy chaos ball in the Big 12. Why? Because Cam Rising can't get onto the football field and stay there. If he could, Utah'd still be my favorite. Utah'd still probably be unbeaten. And yet, he can't. So we don't live in the hypothetical world. We live in the real world. And the real world is that Cam Rising isn't playing for Utah at quarterback. I have no confidence that even if he does come back at some point, he's going to be able to keep himself healthy for the rest of the year. If he does, sure, the Utes could win out, go 11-1 and only have one conference loss, make it to the Big 12 championship game. But right now, I don't feel confident in that. I don't feel confident that Jake Retzlaff can get you to the Big 12 championship game. I don't feel confident that Colorado has improved enough, though they have improved, despite everybody telling me how wrong I was about that. They're clearly a better football team. Duh. Colorado has still got some shortcomings. The offensive line, problem. Big problem. Well, when you face that BYU defense, or if you face that BYU defense, do Colorado and BYU play? No, I don't think they do. In fact, they do not. But Colorado does take on Texas Tech next week in what is going to be just a chef's kiss of a Big 12 showdown there. When you face a defensive line that can harass Shedeur Sanders, it'll look like Nebraska. But when you don't face that sort of team, it could look like UCF. Colorado's interesting. Very, very interesting. West Virginia quietly at 2-0. Speaking of things I was right about, before I go to a couple teams I was a little bit wrong about coming into this season, tried to tell you Oklahoma State wasn't a legit conference title contender. Oh, look, they're 0-3 in conference play. Who's shocked? Not me. Not me. I've picked them to lose every single one of those Big 12 games. And here we are. Oklahoma State, one of the few teams I am perfect picking in the straight-up department so far this season here on the show. I believe I picked them to squeak by Arkansas, Tulsa, South Dakota State, no problems there, and 3 straight losses. Yeah, that makes it pretty simple for Mike Gundy and company because, their season is, for all intents and purposes, over now. You're not going to the Big 12 championship game at 0-3, and Oklahoma State hasn't lost their final game of the season. Anyway, speaking of 0-3 teams, here's one where I can't take a victory lap. I have to take a L on the forehead here. That's Kansas. I picked Kansas to go into Arizona State and win. They had a lead with 2 minutes to go. Couldn't get a stop. I had Kansas. I put faith in Kansas. I picked them to win 10 games this year. Whoopsie daisies. Chalk that up as swinging a whiff for Spencer's picks here on Locked On College Football. Kansas is back to being Kansas. This was supposed to be different, and it's not. At least not for this year. I don't think Lance Leipold will come back with another 3-4 win season next year, which is what Kansas is bound for this season, but they just can't win a close game. Here are their losses, which are 5 in a row, by the way. 6 points, 3 points, 4 points, 11 points, 4 points. 35-31, Arizona State gets the win. Thought this was the moment where Kansas could try to turn it around, but they're done. Not going to the Big 12 championship game. I and others, Drake Toll, Joel Klatt, picked them to do such a thing, and they did not. They did not. They could not, and they shall not make the Big 12 championship game. Arizona State, though. I have loved the Kenny Dillingham hire from the moment that it was first announced. I think he approaches it with the right attitude. I think he cares about the school. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a really good coach. He's getting the best out of Sam Leavitt, who came over from Michigan State. People forget that was a blue-chip quarterback recruit. And what do you know? He's playing like one. Had a heck of a game. I mean a heck of a football game. Jalen Daniels did not. He didn't have an interception. Yay, I guess. This is more about the Kansas defense, of course. Sam Leavitt, 14-24, 157 yards. What if I told you he threw for 4 touchdowns? What if I told you that he marched Arizona State down the field, and then Cam Scadaboo is, very good at running the football and not getting tackled. But Sam Leavitt is doing a really solid job, and Kenny Dillingham, he's bringing that juice to Tempe. This was an over bet for me before the season with regards to their preseason win total. It was 4.5. I said, I think I'd lead the over there. Like 4.5 felt like the right number. Arizona State's going over that number. And I don't think they're a conference title contender, but they're taking this sort of year 2 leap under Kenny Dillingham that every program would want their new head coach to make when you're trying to rebuild. Well, they've got Utah at home next week. If Cam Rising doesn't play, you can win that football game straight up. If Cam Rising does play, he'll probably lose. But look at how many games they can still win. At Cincinnati, at Oklahoma State, you can win those games. Host UCF, you can win that game. At Kansas State, why can't you win that game? Well, Kansas State's really good, and they're at home. Host BYU, that's tough, but doable. At Arizona, that duel in the desert, boy, before the year. Who at Arizona State is being able to beat Arizona? Richie Bradshaw, Locked On Sun Devils, did. Maybe nobody else. He might have been right. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time, and until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.